This is a Stock Trading Reality Podcast, episode 90.
And so I stopped putting money on the line until I could step back and think and figure out like why wasn't it working.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host. He once had a realtor's license, Clay Trader.
Yeah, and I always like to tell this story because it really goes to show kind of how crazy and how much I really do believe in investing in your education. Quick nutshell story. When I got into the markets, I was just like, I'm going to teach myself all by myself. And yeah, that eventually happened. But luckily I had a business that I'd started that continually funded my account. So as I just burned through money, I was able to replenish it. But it was a massive headache. It cost a whole lot of money. And I told myself, you know what? Next time I'm going to go through a structured learning environment. I'm going to go through, something where it makes a whole lot more sense because it's actually structured. It's not random. I'm not just jumping about there and everywhere else. And I made that promise to myself. And then later on in life, when I decided, I want to start to invest in real estate too, I fully, kept that promise. And we'll link in the show notes because I do have a video out there called, Sales Pitch or Belief. Because yes, I do sell educational content. But when I say I truly believe in educational content, I back that up with my own personal experience when I learned real estate. And I spent thousands upon thousands of dollars to learn real estate, which was well worth it. So don't get me wrong, it was well worth that. And along with all that came and kind of just shows how psycho I went with it. But yeah, I went and got a real estate license. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that in order to get involved in the markets, you need to go get your Series 7's license. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying and trying to kind of use as an example of just how serious I wanted to take the education and the structured education when I was learning about real estate and real estate investing. So at one point I was a licensed realtor here in the state of Michigan, but no more. I don't really have any practical purpose for it now that I have my portfolio built up. And, at this time, the market in Michigan, or at least in West Michigan, is crazy hot. And there's not really any investment deals out there for the time being. So yeah, I do have I had a license in real estate. The good news is I can go back and get that relatively easy. Just got to, of course, pay the great state of Michigan some licensing fee to get that reactivated. But yeah, so I'm involved in real estate and was at one point a realtor. And I in fact, IT Nate, the producer of the show, I helped him and his lovely wife find a house and purchase a house. I found a couple other friends. I helped them find their houses. So that was my extent of realtor. It's not like I had my face up on billboards or anything like that. I had it more so for the investment standpoint. But yeah, so I have a license. Jez, do you have any odd licenses that I'm not aware of?
No, I occasionally get a fishing license when I want to go fishing, but touching back to kind of the thing about kind of investing in your education, just in yourself, I was in the same exact boat as you in the sense of, the internet has opened up so much stuff and Google is such a powerful tool. However, you can find a ton of information, but like you said, it's just not structured. You can't learn how to trade the market, unfortunately, in a 9-minute YouTube video from somebody. There's just more that just goes into it, and you're going to be skipping ahead to parts that you're not, prepared to deal with. But it wasn't until that I got interested in the markets myself that I realized, this is the first time where it really does pay to kind of find a professional and learn in a structured environment. Don't be the guy trying to save a couple bucks and, piece together your education, because honestly, like you said, you're going to pay much more in market tuition than you would just kind of investing in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's totally what, I'd learned and why I chose the path I did. And again, in the show notes for this, if you want to watch that video, I got out my tax returns and I went down each and every cost of all the courses I bought, all the books, all the, training course. I mean, everything. I have it mapped out there as that video. And it equates to, I want to say just over $4,000. But if you're interested, you can go and watch that video in the show notes. Today, we have a great interview, another young guy with a great head on his shoulders. And he's been around quite a while, especially for just as young as he is right now. But he's seen quite a bit. He's gone through quite a bit. And there's a lot of valuable little things. And then at the end, we actually discover something that's quite mind-boggling when you stop and think about it in terms of what he likes to seek out in regards to adrenaline relative to kind of how he, navigated the market. So I don't want to ruin anything else, but a lot of good things. You may think, oh, great, some young kid. He doesn't have any experience. He doesn't have anything that I can learn from. there's a lot of good little nuggets in here. And Ches has pointed out a couple good things too throughout the course of they may seem small, but in the grand scheme of things, they're actually quite large. So let's sit down with Josh and let's venture out to Idaho. Hey, Josh, what's up? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, anytime I get an opportunity to throw IT guys under the bus, I jump at the opportunity. So we had a few mic difficulties before I got started, and Josh had just the wrong mic selected on his computer. And Josh, to give you credit, at least you fessed up and said, yeah, he cracked a joke about it, so he's got a sense of humor. But yeah, I'm an IT guy in it, and it took him a while to figure out that he just simply had the wrong mic selected. So, but that's all right, Josh, right? That's a little bumpy start, but we're good to go now.
Don't worry about it, Josh. Clay just needs a reason to feel better for himself when after he has problems with his computer.
It's true. And Ches and IT Nate, the producer, they definitely know that I'm not the most tech-savvy person. But anyways, we were just quickly discussing before we got everything started that you are a member of the chat room. You've made one alert so far, but you're kind of taking a step back now. You just want to kind of learn the lingo, learn more what's going on, and you just in kind of observation mode right now. So is that a fair assessment of where you stand currently?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I just want to learn, what the different patterns mean that I'm actually alerting before I start, jumping into the chat room.
That's probably good thinking on your part. I think that's a very logical path to be on. So let's just start at the very beginning. Ches and I know nothing about Josh, so this is another great one where we are stepping into waters unknown. As we've said in past interviews, sometimes we talk with people in the different chat rooms, so you get to know them a little bit. But in this case, we're going in with our blindfolds on. So, Ches, you ready to go? Are you prepared? I mean,
I'm as prepared as best as I can be.
And Ches just moved to Denver at the time of this recording, so all I see is I don't see the Rocky Mountains stacked behind him. I see a bunch of boxes. So right now,
Ches, Box Mountain. Their Google Maps is coming by to survey it and put it on Google Maps afterwards. So yeah, that's after this podcast.
Excellent. All right, Josh. Well, where did this all get started for you? How did you hear about the market, and then what ultimately led you to get interested enough to want to put some money into the market, or at least consider putting money into the market?
Well, I mean, I've always sort of known about the stock markets all through high school. We did the stock market game or whatnot. But really what got me interested in it was, even when I was younger, I used to always like to play this game online called Stick RPG. And they had a little feature where you could go to the fake bank in the game and invest in the fake stock market. And I figured out that I was really good at reading like the little programming in the game. So I would go and I would take all my play money in that game, make a bunch of money in the stock market, and get way ahead financially in the game. And I was like, why can't I do this for real on my cell phone or something and play with real money and, actually make some money for myself? So that's really when I decided like this could be cool. So when I turned 18, saved up some money, had my dad open an E-Trade account with me, put my first $1,000 in, and started looking for whatever I wanted to trade in. And I didn't really know at the time like what I wanted to invest in, what kind of stocks. I didn't really know what to look for. So I asked him, like, hey, what's on your watch list? And he sent me a few stocks here and there. And
your dad, that is?
Yes, my dad. Okay. Yeah. And he sent me a few stocks, and my dad is a notoriously poor typer in terms of lingo and spelling errors. And one of them he sent me was he meant to send me Activision, actually was on his watch list, ACTI, I think it is. But he autocorrected or it typoed to ACTV. So I started looking into that one, not knowing what it was, and I was like, "Oh, this looks good. It's at a really low. It's low. Like it used to be at $14 a share. It's like $4, around $4 now. I think I might just buy it. This will be a good one to buy. Like nice and cheap. I can afford it. So I picked up 100 shares of that, held it for like 7 or 8 months or something, realizing it was a different company than the one that my dad had mentioned on his watch list. The company actually ended up getting bought out for $14 a share 8 months later. I messaged him one day. I was like, hey, Dad, did you see the stock? Like, it went way up. They got bought out. And he went and looked, and he's like, no, I don't see anything. Which one are you looking at? And then that's when I realized that I had typed in the wrong ticker and bought the wrong stock that he had recommended for me to buy. And, it was a hoot.
Oh, Clay, I don't know about you, but I think we need to have Josh's dad on here, and he's just going to misspell some tickers, and it'll open up to new opportunities for buyouts. I really like that. So
he's a straight up prophet.
yeah, so I want to ask you a question though. So obviously you had held this, and it was more of a swing trade for you, and it worked out very well. Now, were you continuously checking it during that 7-8 months while you were kind of holding it, and before all that happened?
Yes, yeah, I was. I was checking it every few days, every few mornings. Sometimes I take a week off from checking it, but I really wasn't watching, the minute-to-minute chart on this at all. I didn't even really know what I was looking for. I just kind of was like, oh, it went down today. Darn, like, I'll just hold it. I was kind of in the mindset that, you hold the stock long enough, everything's going to go up eventually. You're never going to lose money in the long run, but, little did I know. So,
yeah. And you mentioned not looking at it, but was the only kind of quote unquote method to your madness was, hey, this stock was really high at one point and now it's really low, therefore I think it's good? Or did you look more into like balance sheets and cash flow statements? What exactly was your research and rationale behind jumping into it in the first place? Or was it just, hey, my dad told me about this and hey, it used to be high and now it's really low? Or were there some other factors that went into it?
It was basically just that I had looked at the chart from like the 5-year or the 2-year perspective, and I was like, oh, it used to be high and now it is not that high anymore. It might be a good buying opportunity. But back then I had no clue what I was doing. This is my first trade ever. Didn't know anything about charts or trends or anything. Just basically looking at the seasonality of it and just saw that, hey, it's probably going to go back up in the future.
But at the time, did you feel like super sophisticated and stuff? Because I remember back in the day, and the cool thing about Investors Hub, where I got my start as a message board, is you can go back and like see the first post you made. And man, the way I typed, I thought I was some sort of sophisticated investor, and I was just a flat out moron, in hindsight now. But at the time, I mean, did you feel like I'm really sophisticated, I know what I'm doing? Or were you sitting there saying, I have no idea what I'm doing? Or were you kind of tricking yourself into thinking that your plan, which of course now in hindsight, all right, that I didn't know what I was doing. But at the time, were you feeling pretty good about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I made my first stock trade. I was like, oh yeah, I'm confident in this. Like, finally went shopping and bought my first shares. But yeah, really just jumped into it. Really had no clue what I was doing at the time. So
now I want to know how. So obviously you get this great trade. The buyout happens. You make $10 a share or more. Your account's padded a bit more than it was, kind of going into it. What's your kind of plan of attack now? Are you just going to redeploy all of your capital into kind of other names that you think look good? Or, like I said, do you just think you got to figure it out and you're just going to go on a stock picking tear?
And also to piggyback off that, did you make any other investments during that 8-month period? Because that's a super long time. So if you didn't, then yeah, carry on with Chez's question. But I'm curious about that facet too.
Yeah, those are good questions. So actually, at the same time, I originally had $1,000 in my account, and I was like, I'm going to divide this up. I didn't want to put it all in one place at one time. I kind of saw that was a bad idea from the start. But I went out. Yeah, I chose 2 stocks I wanted. One of them was the Active Network, the ACTV, the one that had got bought out. Decided to buy that one. And also at the same time, on the same day, I think I bought Zoomies. I worked at Zoomies at the time, and I thought, hey, they're a good retailer. I mean, it seems like our store is doing well, so they might be a decent investment. But yeah, at the same time, I did buy Zoomies with that one.
And how did that one turn out for you?
I walked away, I think, up $68 after about the same period of time.
Okay, so you made money on it, and it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, your investment thesis on that one was just simply, hey, I work here, the store that I work at is busy, therefore it's a good investment. Is that pretty much? Also
I saw the chart too. It was lower than it had been. I saw that it had it kind of went up towards the Christmas season. So
okay, so it very basics. Now, hey, sometimes that's all it takes. I mean, that's what my retirement portfolio is dedicated on. Is hey, I know what McDonald's is. It's been around a long time. Hey, I know what Nike is. It's been around a long time. Hey, I know what General Electric. So I'm not saying that was a terrible move on your part. But for somebody getting started out, pretty simplistic, I'm sure you would agree, especially with what you know now about everything in terms of wanting to be a trader. But to now, go back to Chez's question, you got all that money. I mean, your Activision, no, it wasn't Activision, Active Networks or whatever.
Yeah.
Your dad's prophetic pick, we'll just refer to it as that. That one was just bought out. So what did you do with that money? I mean, was it a case of fool's gold? Did you walk us through that point?
No, so at that point, I basically had started treating my brokerage account like my savings account, and I was super ready to hold on to my money. I wasn't ready to just start throwing it at everything and like that I wanted to. So I definitely held on to that money for a while. I didn't make any investments right off the bat. I was in college at the time, worrying about finals and everything. But around the end of the year, I think it was the end of 2013, I believe, I had an idea. I saw some legislature got passed that how Colorado and Washington were going to legalize cannabis. So me and my friend Austin at the time actually thought like, hey, let's start doing some research on some of these like cannabis stocks. Maybe we can, when they get legalized, they're going to go up. Like, of course, it's going to like that's just what's going to happen. So, we hopped on the chat rooms, started seeing what everyone was talking about, just kind of like pulling all these random different tickers we could find, threw them on a watch list, and we kind of started keeping track of them. And just a few days before the year rolled over, I went and I spread out my not all of my money, about 75% of my money into 5 or 6 different of these cannabis stocks. They were worth, pennies, just the penny stocks, nothing too glamorous. But yeah, I waited for the new year to roll around, and then what
year was this?
I think it was the end of 2013.
Oh,
so he caught the boom. He literally caught the boom.
I see where this is going. All right, Continue on, sir.
Yeah, so I think it was the 28th I'm seeing on my trade history. Yeah, 28th of December is when I started getting into all these. Yeah, let it roll.
Give us some ticker symbols here. Let's see. Let's bring back some memories.
MJNA.
Oh yeah.
NTRR.
NTR. No, that one doesn't sound familiar.
NutriCorp. PHOT.
Oh yeah.
That's a classic.
That one was all over the message boards. HEMP.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
XTRM.
XTR. Oh yeah. No, XTRM. Do you remember? No, that one's not ringing a bell for me.
Wasn't ERBB on there too?
Oh yeah, I didn't go near that one. I heard some stuff about the.
What about MINE?
Oh, I saw that one. I didn't get in that one though.
That's Chez's favorite. That's how I pay Chez. I send him mine shares.
I mean, useless mine shares.
Yeah.
Another
They're not
one
useless. You can use them for toilet paper.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, I've got some of those HESG. Those are useless.
Okay. So, all right. So, yeah, for those of us and for the listeners that went through the cannabis boom, I like how you're using the proper word cannabis. A lot of people are like just pot stocks or MJ stocks. You're using the scientific terminology, but for those listeners out there, hopefully we could bring back some memories that went through the whole boom. So anyways, you are spreading your money around. Good job. Good diversification, risk management in that sense. So yeah, I know what's coming, but I'm curious to see how you actually, how you maneuvered within the waters here. So keep on going here.
So we started researching these. We saw that they were penny stocks. Me and my friend Austin at the time both had a little bit of kind of history with investing. Our dads had both been into it. We kind of were in the lifestyle, but we knew that these penny stocks were nothing that you held for long times. Like these were pump and dumps. I'd heard the word pump and dump all the time. We kind of figured that they were pump and dumps. So we decided that if we were going to get in, we were going to ride them up just a certain amount, and then we were going to get out because we knew that they were going to be dumped like very quickly after. And we had seen with a few other penny stocks how quickly they can rally and turn around and be worthless just within a few days. So that is actually how we ended up playing it. I think I was in for 2 weeks or less. I think I wrote them up about 5 to 10 cents on some of them, and then I just got out. It took just small profits, but I just wanted to be safe. I didn't want anything to be held long term. So. But
now, I just want to ask: did you have a fixed kind of target for each of these, or were you using a moving average? What's your extent of using, say, the chart? What made you say that, okay, I'm going to buy this? Was it a breakout over resistance? Was it just a bunch of volume pouring in? What was your criteria for saying, we got it all on a watch list now? How are you choosing to kind of enter or exit these trades essentially?
So I did not know what a moving average was back then. Didn't use charts. I was trading solely off of the mobile app on my phone. We literally just put the ones on the watch list. I watched them for a few weeks prior to buying. I kind of saw how they were moving, kind of got the feel for them. But looking at the message boards, doing some research online, kind of seemed like the ones that I chose to buy were the ones most likely to go up. It seemed like it had the most traffic on the message boards. So that's kind of what I was looking for. I had no technical indicators. I had no fancy charting software. It was just off the mobile app on my phone at that time.
Now I'm getting. I don't know yet because I don't know where this goes, but it sounds like you may have suffered what I suffered from all this. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So, At the end, when all the dust had settled, the bubble had popped. Did you make a whole ton of money, or because you hopped out so fast, was it kind of just like, those were, because some people made a whole ton of money. But how did you do when, after the bubble had popped? Did you actually make a lot on all these stocks? It sounds like you didn't, because you understood they were pumping them, so you just wanted to get in and out.
So I knew nothing about day trading or anything like that at the time, or had no strategy for that. I kind of just, every morning when the market opened, I'd wake up and I would watch them, and for 3 or 4 days, they started to climb, and then I think it was PHOT. I saw it hit about 42 cents or something, and I was like, ooh, this is pretty good. It's going to go higher. And then within just a matter of a few minutes, I think it started to turn around into the 30s, and I was like, ooh, I don't know. Maybe we'll give it one more day. And the next day, it was down, I think, in like the low 30s, high 20s, and I decided that day it was over, and I decided to start getting out of almost all of them just within like the few day period there.
Okay, so it wasn't a situation where you just like blew up your account in the good way. It's not like your account went from $1,000 to like 20,000. Nothing like that.
No.
Okay, and this is and good for you, because it sounds bad, but the thing that most people realize is the only reason Josh did not blow up his account in the good way was because he actually knew what was going on. Him and his buddy understood that penny stocks are garbage. They're pump and dumps. So you ride them up for a little bit and then you get out. And you may say, well, that caused him to miss out on the huge moves. Well, true. But the people that did catch those moves, that actually thought these were investments, sure, their unrealized gains were showing massive gains. But because they didn't understand what was going on, they held and held and held. And sure, they held and held as it went up and up and up and up. But they also held when it went down and down and down. And before you knew it, they either lost money or maybe didn't make that much in the first case. Now, some people did make some money, but it was pure, luck anyway, so they ultimately gave it back. So, but that's what I suffered from, and that's what I was hinting at earlier, as I missed out on all that because I know what penny stocks are. I know what happens 99% of the time. And, the whole pot stock boom, the bubble, was one of those 1% where it was just pure craziness and everything was acting like they normally wouldn't. So I never thought it could happen. It happened, and I missed out on it all. You at least got a small slice of it, but you and your buddies, kind of gut instincts is a good thing in the long run, but cost you a little bit here, in terms of just hopping out too soon and just taking little slices rather than the whole thing. But a cruel catch-22 of the market sometimes, but it all comes around full circle. So the bubble is popped. I'm assuming you still came out green though, right? Like your account was bigger than where it was when you started?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. So where do you go from this point in time? Are you feeling on top of the world? Do you feel like you got it all figured out? Because this is still, 2013 so this is still a couple of years ago. So there's still a lot of, chunk left in your journey here. So yeah, take us from, post pot stock bubble pop. There we go.
Okay. So, I after I had sold out all of those, I had found another one that I thought was maybe more of a long-term hold. And since I had made some money, I figured, I was like, maybe I could throw a few $100 at this stock. I'll hold this one, like an investment, like you said, is a 5-year period out. So I thought maybe I'd buy this one. I'll hold it for maybe till I'm like 30 or 40 years old. I'm 23 right now. I figured I got lots of time. I'll throw a few $100 of my earnings at this one. And that one was actually HEMP, hemp. And
yes.
Yeah, so that one is basically worthless now. Yeah.
Well, it's toilet paper. It's worth toilet paper.
Yeah. So that one I decided to hold long term, and my friend Austin at the time was like, I know you're crazy. You shouldn't hold that for long term. Like we already saw these happen. And I was like, I was feeling a little kind of not really gambling with my money, but I felt a little more confident. It was gains. It was okay to lose. I was like, I can afford this little bit of a loss. So I was like, worst case, I lose 100% of my money, and I just basically paid $500 for the life lesson to never do this again. So, and, evidently I lost all of that money. So that's gone now. But another one I did buy just shortly after that, I started looking into, the 0001 penny stocks, discovered those shortly after. I was like, ooh, these, you could $50, you can buy 500,000 shares. So found this one HESG, and, threw $50 at it, figuring it like, whatever, it's $50. Hey, who knows, if it goes to $1, I've got $500,000. Like, one day we'll see. But yeah, that one I've been trying to sell for since 2014, and I can't sell it. There's no volume, so liquidity trap there for sure.
And that's kind of the beauty. And, obviously it's like Clay said in another term was the double-edged sword of, obviously these can make huge 100%, 1,000% moves, but at the same time, when the bubble bursts, when the dust settles, there's no buyers for that name anymore. And, you can't even get rid of it. So that's just an unfortunate thing. Now, it sounds like you started to actually kind of change your strategy, though, because now you're looking for, you're trying to completely bottom pick. Why did you kind of shift from what you were doing originally? Because you seem to be quite successful at it initially. Why are you now looking for kind of these 001s and, just throwing $50 at it as a try?
I wasn't looking at a lot of 001s. It was more of just that one came across my plate on one of the chat rooms. It was super cheap, and I started doing the math like, holy crap, I can pick up a ton of shares here for a really low amount of money. Like, hey, maybe it moves like 1/100th of a penny, and I walk away with $500 or something. Like, that's kind of what my angle was there. But I didn't invest in any other of those 001s other than that one.
Yeah, it's always funny. I still remember. So if I'm doing the math, you were definitely, same age range as I was when, you were noticing all this. And I don't know, at that age, I was just like, yeah, I bought 500,000 shares today of something. I bought like 2.8 million shares of something. Of course, it's these 000 stocks or like 00 stocks or something. So there is something that, at least for me, there was like some sort of like psychological thing going on that I felt like kind of cool that I was able to buy that amount of shares. But you're right. Then you play the calculator game where you pull out their calculator and start to, calculator plus what if. So what if that happens? What if this happens? You're like, oh, wow, I might as well just drop out of school right now and, go in my classroom and just throw my homework at the teacher and say, I'm going to be rich and just walk out. But that's not quite how it works. And I thank you for sharing that you're still trying to sell HESG, but because there's no volume out there, you cannot sell. So that is definitely a perfect example of the problem with penny stocks and their volume is liquidity. You can always buy a penny stock, but got to be able to ask yourself, can I sell it? Will I be able to sell it? Will I be able to sell it at a price that I think I can? And, those are definitely things that always need to be, whereas if you're buying Apple or something like that, yeah, I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to find a buyer out for that one. So at this point, it sounds like you're straight up kind of gambling at this point. Yeah, I'll throw a little bit of money here. Yeah, I'll throw a little bit of money here. And I mean, or what is there more to it, or am I kind of just misunderstanding the way you've described it, or is that a fair assessment that you're essentially just kind of gambling?
I would say, yeah, that was a fair assessment on those two stocks. Yeah, that was kind of just a gamble, Hail Mary, if you will. So,
I like that analogy a lot. So you're just throwing up the Hail Mary, and nobody caught the ball, and so the one is you still can't sell, and HEMP, did you realize that loss? So that's just basically $0.
Yeah, I think they did like a 200-to-1 reverse split or something like that, and I ended up taking $5 back from it, so like a 99% loss.
Okay, yeah, that's not too bad. You paid for your lunch at McDonald's as long as you went with the dollar menu then by right. Selling. So you got $5 on that one. So I'm assuming, hoping that you learned a couple lessons. Like, all right, well, those ones didn't work out. So where was the next step? After this point.
So the only other stock that I had been really interested in. My dad actually brought this one across my plate too, and not just that I get all my stocks from my dad, but at the time I really didn't know what to be looking for. I didn't know where to find decent stocks, so I was kind of just relying off him. He's got many years of investing experience. He kind of knew like some stocks, so he sent another one across my plate, and it was ELTP. You actually do a lot of technical analysis on that, but around the same time I had bought those cannabis stocks, I picked up my first shares of ELTP around, I think it was 10 cents-ish, 8 to 10 cents ranges where I picked up 2 different lots of shares. And I held those for quite, I still am holding those today. I'm kind of playing the fundamentals of the company. I'm hoping that they, get all their stuff done in the next few years, but I'm holding that one for a long term. But I remember one day I was sitting.
Let me just, going into that trade, was it always a long-term one, or were you thinking it was going to be some sort of trade? Or
That's
was that
exactly
always
what I was going to ask?
Or is it always a long-term investment in your mind?
It's basically always been a long-term investment in my mind.
All right.
I knew what they were working on, the kind of drugs they were working on, and I felt like anything with the FDA takes a long time, so I felt like it wasn't anything I was going to buy and sell tomorrow. But in hindsight, coulda, shoulda, woulda, but.
Gotcha. So obviously you have that kind of plan going into it. So that's what that is. Now, what you're in college now still at this point, right? You haven't kind of transitioned into like full-time employment or anything?
Actually, I just graduated Boise State last semester in the fall or in the spring.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Go Broncos, right? Is that what you
Yeah.
guys are, the Broncos? Nice.
Yeah, that's what we are.
So, obviously you don't have 401ks to worry about yet, or now you do, but at the time you didn't. So you're in well before kind of that long-term stuff is happening, but you're already looking ahead.
So at this point, you didn't quite graduate, and you're still in school. So you ELTP, you put some money in that one as a long-term investment. I mean, are you deploying your capital anywhere else, or are you just trying to trade now, or what exactly is going on? Right around this ELTP investment time frame.
So I picked up ELTP around the time I got the cannabis stocks. I kind of picked them up some shares a month apart or so, but basically after that, I just held on to those, focused on school, really kind of wasn't doing much investing. I watched the markets. I didn't really make any trades. I wasn't really doing anything with the markets for a long time, actually. I think my next trade after that was not until July of 2015, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I really, put on the brakes. I really, I moved away from my friends. I graduated, so I didn't have really those friends to, talk stocks with and, redo the research with. And that's how I think we did it best, is because we had, more minds, the better. So, but yeah.
Right. So you said July of 2015 was your kind of newest trade or whatever during this period. What ultimately brought you back? I mean, because you had graduated from school, you were away from your friends, so you didn't have your little quote unquote think tank that you guys could use. So what got you to put on that next, that initial trade in July?
So I had definitely been keeping up with different stocks over that year. But it was mainly, I got on my phone one day for my app, and I noticed that Netflix had done, I think it was like the 7-to-1 split. So I saw that their share price was very more reasonable. It wasn't up to the $700 range. So I figured since they had split that I could get a few shares of that. I think I picked up 17 shares of it, hoping that maybe it would go up right after the split. And, it inevitably did. Ended up walking away I think of $100 profit real quick in just a few months or whatever it was. But I just saw the split and I figured that might have been a decent entry point. So that's really what just drew me back into that.
And then did that open up kind of suck you back down the rabbit hole of wanting to get a lot more active, or did you just go on another long pause before you did anything else?
No, that same year I decided to start picking up more, I guess, big board stocks. I was moving away from those penny stocks. I was not interested in doing anything with those anymore. So I actually picked up Activision shortly after that, just a few months later, and that was more of a long play. I figured I would hold that one for over a year. So I started looking at some bigger companies that would protect my money a little bit more. It wasn't super volatile, if you will.
What I like about Josh Clay is that he was, even after he had hit kind of that buyout rumor and all that stuff right off the bat, is he was more concerned about protecting his money than he was kind of snowballing it into okay, well, I made $1,000 here, I want to make $1 million with it now. So kudos to you, obviously, because you're definitely approaching it with risk in mind, even if you might not have known it at the time. So you kind of pick up these longer term names. Did this ever lead you kind of to be interested in kind of shorter term trading again, or were you just kind of busy with school, busy with life, and you just want to kind of put your money, like you said, almost emulating a savings account and just kind of have it there and grow with the market, hopefully?
I would say that's exactly what I did, the whole savings account. I really didn't want to have to be stressing about watching this the stocks tick every minute and stressing, should I buy, should I sell? I was kind of just I'll put it something that I think it's going to go up in value in a few months. I don't need this money right away. I will just let it hang out in this account and hopefully, grow in value. So that's kind of the companies I was looking at, was what's been around for a long time, what's growing. So, but yeah, actually shortly after that, though, I mean, not shortly, but at the beginning of 2016, I had been watching some YouTube videos because I was like, I really want to get serious about this. I was watching your videos, Clay, actually, on the ticker symbol ELTP and your technical analysis. And I started realizing, how does he know this? What is he looking at? Why is he saying that this is resistance? What's the support that he's talking about? So I started researching some more YouTube videos, the free education online. And I came across all these guys who were doing these chart analysis videos. And I was like, these guys are crazy. How are they pulling $200 in 5 seconds off these charts? What are they doing? And I was like, I need to get a better broker. This E-Trade mobile app is not cutting it for me. So
Not to
I
mention the
eventually-
$10 fees to buy and sell, but yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. And I was playing the calculator game with the whole day trades on my phone. Like if I bought here, I could get out in 5 minutes here. But then I started realizing that there's no way I could keep up with how quick it was moving, having to unlock my phone, type in the order, click send, and then hope it goes through. Like it wasn't just like one click like on most computer platforms. So, but eventually I found TD Ameritrade's Thinkorswim platform, and that's what I ended up getting just because it was free. I didn't have to have a huge account size for it, but which it ended up to be damaging to me because I thought that I had this super cool trading platform, and now I thought I was a day trader, and I was like, I'm gonna start throwing some money at this. Like I'm gonna be one of these guys on YouTube that trade stocks and pull huge profits in just a few seconds.
So just to recap, you watch videos on YouTube, you see traders making money on YouTube using charts, you get and I quote, a cool new platform, and therefore you now think you're a trader, a day trader or whatever. So now you're ready to go. Is that pretty much what you just said in a nutshell?
Oh, that's exactly, yeah. And
I love it. I love
lots
it.
Lots of other friends who did the same thing, but I'm one of the.
Oh no,
few
I'm not saying that you're
admit it.
stupid for feeling that way. I'm just saying, welcome to the club, and yeah, good on you for actually admitting that, because that's what a lot of people's thought processes is. Hey, look at all these guys on YouTube making money. Hey, I got a cool new platform. I'm ready. Let's go. I'm a trader now. And it's, well, there's a little bit more to it than that. But yeah, props to you for fully admitting that. But it just brings a grin to my face because I was the same way. I mean, amazing what a little bit of seeing somebody else doing something and then think, hey, I know what I'm doing. But so I'm excited now. You got your cool new platform. You've been watching some YouTube videos, and I don't know if you jump right in, but expound upon these next steps. This should get good.
Yeah. So I really I just started looking at stocks that had a lot of, I guess, volume and volatility. It kind of looked like they had like a custom watch list on this platform that had like, NASDAQ's top gainers today, or, top percent change. So I started looking at those, seeing like what was moving the most. And I didn't throw any of my money right away into it. I started looking at the platform, learning how to use it, figuring out how to, place orders, how to get in and out quickly, because I felt like, sure, I could click buy, but if I didn't know what button on the software to click to get out, then I was going to screw myself. So, but I started looking at just, a bunch of different companies, expanding my horizons, looking at different sectors, and eventually came across the Match Group, their IPO. And I decided, I was like, ooh, IPOs always go up right at the start. Like, it seems like right as they initially, they come out, there's like a quick bounce. And I was like, I'm going to get in and get out real quick. So try to pick up like 200 shares right at the open on that day. And I couldn't get out quick enough. And I ended up walking away with like $100 loss because I was like, oh, I'm losing money. It's going to go down. So I just like sold out and walked away. But, if I would have held it for a few days, then I would have been profitable. But I was just like, oh, day traders get out. They're losing money. So I got out and kicked myself on my first day trade.
Hey, I would pat you on the back instead of kick yourself, because honestly, you did not, like you said, you exhibit a little bit of hindsight. You said if you held it for a couple of days, it would have went up. However, you didn't have that, you can't know that in advance. And at the same time, that $100 loss could have turned into $1,000 loss if you just kept holding it. So kudos to you. Like I said, I already kind of mentioned to Clay, you're exhibiting risk management with, not per se having it defined in, clear cut writing. You are more protective of your money, and that's definitely going to kind of serve you well, especially, in trading. So you start to trade this IPO. It goes up shortly, completely comes back down. You close up for a loss. Now, are you discouraged? Are you like, man, the market is rigged, I just can't figure this out? Or you going to wait for another IPO and try again?
No, actually, I was like, all right, that first one didn't work as well. I'm going to learn from my mistakes. I'm not going to trade IPOs right now. I'm going to
all right.
do some more
That's
research.
what I was hoping you would say, because I was sitting here waiting to pounce all over you. Is, well, another mistake you made as a brand new trader, you freaking traded an IPO, which is not exactly the land where new traders should be hanging out. So I'm glad you said that was the first thing. Can you tell my adrenaline's going a little bit? Good job, Josh. Good recognition that was probably something you should change. Sorry to cut you off, but I blame the adrenaline, not myself. Sorry. Anyways, keep on going.
Yeah, so I started looking more into what kind of news was going to come out for different companies. I was kind of just waiting on I guess mainly the news, because that you'd bring gains or losses. But I wasn't looking for short positions. I didn't have a margin account at the time. I actually had opened a margin account with my E-Trade app previously. Accidentally had bought some shares of Activision on margin, and didn't know they were on margin. Held those for about 6 months and had to pay a ton of interest fees on that. So closed that margin account. I was like, I'm not going to do margin forever. I'm gonna wait till I've got a bigger account or I know more about it. I'm not going to be losing my money in interest fees. So
yeah, that's definitely something you got to keep in mind for kind of longer term holds. Definitely.
Yeah, I didn't plan to buy it on margin. It was one of those things where I think I picked up 5 shares too many that my account could afford, and they ended up just rolling the whole thing over onto the margin account. And yeah, I didn't know till I ended up selling, and then there was the list of the breakdown of the fees, and I was like, what? Oh, what's all these interest fees? So yeah, learned that the hard way too. But
another lesson learned, but it's not. Sounds like it didn't like blow up your entire account, so it could have been worse. It sounds like is kind of the moral of that story is. So you're learning, I guess, as you're kind of just all right. I don't want IPOs. Now you're looking for news. Were you kind of on the search for some sort of holy grail at this point? I don't know if that's what I'm really sensing, but because you're looking for news and some sort of news that may cause this to happen. And I mean, were you out there looking for a certain formula, or I mean, what exactly were you trying to accomplish? Of course, you were trying to accomplish making money, but what were you hoping to find? Just some sort of, almost kind of plug and play strategy where if I see this, then I do that and it happens every time, or, what exactly were you trying to kind of quote unquote discover?
So yeah, I was looking for that strategy, and I had heard people talking about you got to have a trade plan in place, and no one out there was telling me what their trade plan was. And I was like, I don't even know where to begin to develop my own trade plan, other than just kind of practicing, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. And that's kind of what I was going for, not just throwing money at everything to practice, but I started learning about the Fibonacci retracements, and I was just starting to watch them. I wasn't trading them, but I was kind of saying all right, I'm going to say sort of paper trading, just kind of in my head. But I was trying to figure out why I couldn't predict the markets, right? I was baffled. I was like, I mean, the guys on YouTube say that if it hits this retracement line, it should do this and it should pull back to here. And for some reason, it wasn't working when I was putting some money on the line. So I stopped putting money on the line until I could step back and think and figure out why wasn't it working? What did I do different? What am I looking at that's wrong? So, or what's not working, I guess. So
at this point, you're not really making any money at all. Is it kind of just up and down, or are you losing money at this point?
It was more of, just kind of not really even up and down. It was more just a very slow bleed. I wasn't losing large sums of money. I was cutting my losses fairly quickly, but it was consistent loss after loss after loss. I think it was I tried to do 4 day trades, or kind of, 1 to 2 day trades. And I was in the red on all of them, nothing more than $100 at most, but I was just kind of losing, because of commissions here and there. So right. I was just kind of, my account was just bleeding, and I saw that and I noticed that, and I was like, I can't keep doing this. I'm going to be out of money, so I need to stop. So I quit doing day trades.
Okay, so you summed it up perfectly. Slowly bleeding. You stopped doing day trades. So now you said you had been watching some of my videos with ELTP. So at what point were you like, hey, what's this, inner circle? What's this chat room thing? Where does that all come into play at?
That was actually just recently, maybe 3 months ago, I think, is when I got into the chat room. But I had heard about it. I was skeptical. I heard a lot of, people on the message boards talking about their chat rooms. I heard everyone's scammers, you just pay for a useless chat room. And then I came across yours, and I was like, $100 a year. That's not outrageous. Worst case, it's not worth it. And I'm out $100. It's not a terrible investment. But it seems like your chat room is pretty top notch in terms of alerts. It's very clean, and it's very to the point. There's no clutter. As I've heard, there's lots of clutter in other chat rooms. So,
Jess, have you been in other chat rooms with clutter?
I have. It's just everybody. It's the sheep piling on top of the sheep, piling on top of the guru, who's all trying to sell into each other. And then, unfortunately, there's always a sucker at the end that's holding the bag. So yes, I've seen it. I've been involved in it, and that's just the nature of how most of the stuff goes, which is kind of sad. But yeah, our room is drastically different in the sense of we don't do buy and sell alerts. We just kind of alert technical positions. Yeah, and it's funny. We've had past podcast guests that have said that our room is so efficient, it makes us come across like jerks at first, because we're like, hey, you just broke the rules. Don't do that. Hey, don't do that. What a bunch of jerks. So it's one of those situations where you can't win now, to those people's credit. They eventually came around and understood why things are so strict, because what Josh has just talked about, it just keeps things very efficient, and there's not a whole lot of clutter anywhere. And as traders, we have a room where you can go and,
shoot the breeze or whatever. But, the main rooms are strict because we need to keep clutter out and just alerts only. But so well, good. I'm glad that you figured, hey, you know what? It's $100 for 12 months. Good risk versus reward. Either I'm out $100 or else it could really help you out. So how is the chat room going for you right now? I guess we kind of let the cat out of the bag earlier, knowing that you're just observing. But I mean, chat room, has it made you $1 million yet, or what exactly? Where's your trading stand at this point in time? That's the probably best way to put it. What exactly are you trading, and just kind of where are things at present day? Because looking at the time, I don't know where it's gone, but we got to start to wrap things up.
All right, so present day, I am trading nothing but paper trades because I am not going to be losing money on, day trades anymore. But there was one alert that I saw. I watch the chat room every time I'm sitting here looking at my monitors, and one alert came up about, I think it was NVAX, how they had about 80 or 85% loss after hours one day.
Oh, yeah. That was nasty.
And I was like, all right, I'm going to get in on this one. This was such a huge tank. I'd expect a rally in the morning, at least a little pop, maybe 20, 30 cents or whatever. I put my order in. I know I got in, 1 penny from the bottom. I think it bottomed at 116. I got in at 117. And I just held it for like a week and a half or 2 weeks or something. And I sold out in the $2 range somewhere. So that was a good play off of that, off of the alert from the chat room. So
very nice. So you made your subscription. You made your $100 back.
Yes, I did. Subscription for the year's paid for already.
Boom. So there we go. That's always a pleasant thing to hear. But now you're just totally in observation mode. Now, you made a comment earlier about you were just paper trading in your head. That was a major red flag to me. But you just said now that you're paper trading. Are you still paper trading in your head, or
no? I printed out an Excel spreadsheet with all
right.
I fill it out and I write it in pen so I can't erase it.
There you go. You got to stay accountable. That's what we were always nervous about. The brain is too easy to say, I wouldn't have bought there. That wouldn't have been a losing trade. So good for you. Use pen. Keep it accountable.
Yep, and that already happens with pencil. So to hear that he was doing this all, quote unquote, in his head, it's like, well, that's the straight up wild, wild west. I mean, there's probably no hold bar. So are you noticing a difference between, paper trading, quote unquote, in your head versus now doing it with a spreadsheet and in pen? Or is there a pretty noticeable difference?
Yeah, it feels. I'm a little bit more edge. I'm like, ooh, if I write this down, I'm committed. Just not with real money, thankfully. But yeah, I do. It feels different being on paper. I like it more on paper though.
Oh, yeah. And that's exactly doing it in your head. For you listeners out there, if you can relate to Josh when he said, so I was paper trading in my head, please don't do that, because as Josh has perfectly said, there's just really no accountability, because to piggyback off of Chez's point, it's just like, I meant I would have done that, or no, what I really meant was that. And you're never going to be realistic. You're never going to be honest with yourself. And then when you go to real money, you'll be shocked. And I guess you don't have to believe Josh, Chez, or myself. Go do it on your own, and you'll see that neither of us are exaggerating in the least. So the more serious you take paper trading, definitely the better, because accountability, that's a great way to put it. So do you have any favorite indicators out there that you like to use? I mean, do you use are you using line charts still? Or, I mean, walk us through some of your favorite indicators, and what sort of strategies do you find yourself paper trading most often?
So I'm mostly paper trading options right now. I purchased your options course, and that actually got me to figure out what options. I didn't exactly know how to trade them or what they were exactly. So I see the power in them and how useful they can be. So I'm mainly waiting for, the news or the earnings releases, and then I'm going off of the options for paper trading for that mainly right now. But the indicators I use is mainly just the 50 period and 200 period moving averages. I used to have Bollinger Bands and histograms and all these different colored lines all over the screen. Had no clue what they meant. Just saw them on YouTube. I was like, oh, I look cool. Look at my screen, guys.
Just saw them on YouTube. Yep.
Yeah, nice. Look how cool my screen looks. I'm gonna be a millionaire just based on the colors here.
Dude, that's got to be the quote. Chez, make sure you write that one down. Dude, look at my screen. It looks, whatever he just said, that was a fantastic quote. That was definitely write that down.
Yeah, I'll definitely mark it up.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But so yeah.
Go for it.
Oh yeah, I don't know what all these indicators mean. I see them. I hear people talking about Bollinger Bands and how to read them, but I don't really know what I guess the numbers that they're being calculated off of. I don't know enough about them, so I just found myself watching all these different colored lines, and there was just no consistency. So I've kind of, after watching some of your technical analysis videos, I've just simplified it down to just the moving averages basically.
Hey, price action, moving averages, keep it simple. Don't make it complicated. You don't got to look as cool as those guys on YouTube. I promise they're not as cool as we all think they are, including Clay. But that's besides the point. Now, Josh, what would you say is your kind of routine for the markets? Are you kind of mocking up charts in the evenings and then taking a look the next day? Are you watching them just intraday for shorter term trades? What does your preparation for the trading day look like?
So in my job right now, I actually work the night shift. So I get off of work at 7 a.m. Mountain time. So I have the whole night to see news articles coming out, things like that. So that's kind of where I get some of my information. But on the days that I don't work before, I usually wake up about an hour or two before the markets open. I'll kind of see what's going on in the chat rooms, see what news articles are coming out. I've got a pretty cool news feed that comes in through my trading platform. But basically, I just kind of am trying to keep a watchful eye on a specific number of stocks. I don't really like to search everything that I see, but I'm trying to just keep the stocks I'm familiar with. Because as you're saying, stocks definitely have personalities. They trade you can kind of get a feel for them. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is just stick to 5 or 6 different stocks and just kind of watch those specific ones.
I love it. That's what big money does on Wall Street. If you're a Wall Street trader, they don't just give you millions of dollars and say, hey, go trade whatever you want. They're going to say, no, these are the stocks. You focus on those ones. You're going to become a specialist in those stocks. And if that's what the big money's doing, because you can better believe big money has put in a lot of time and money and research into figuring out any sort of edge they can get. So, yeah, for sure. That makes good sense, Josh, and I'm glad to hear that you are doing that. Well, I don't know. Ches has just moved as he's established. Has a time machine shown up yet or not in Denver, Ches?
Yeah, it fit in the truck. I had to have a separate trailer for it, but I was able to get it 1,000 miles here to Denver, so I do have it.
All right, so if Ches were to lend you this time machine, which he will, and you could go back to the start, and you can't. Well, I guess it was a good thing that you misread what your dad had typed, so you wouldn't want to change that. But if you could go back to the start, what would be one bit of advice that you'd give yourself?
Oh, definitely do not be putting money on the line until you've educated yourself, because education is key here.
And you can keep it as simple as that, and that's,
I love it.
It doesn't need to be any more complex than that.
It truly doesn't.
Just the education.
Yeah, just get knowledge. You don't have to buy it from us. You don't have to buy it from anyone. Just find someone who's done it for a long time, knows what they're talking about. But Josh, has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today. The one thing that's going to determine if this podcast is ever aired is, what is your favorite movie?
Ooh, that is a tough question. I am not someone who watches movies.
Favorite TV show then?
Clay's YouTube chart analysis.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, right. I really like Portlandia. I don't know if you guys have watched that yet.
I do enjoy that. Clay, I don't know if you like that. It's kind of a comedy type show.
Is that a movie or is that a TV show?
TV show about people from Portland, just kind of stereotypes. It's
kind of like a sketch comedy type thing. I enjoy it a lot. I think that duo on that show is really funny.
Gotcha. Maybe I'll have to check it out. I gotta ask. So were you born in Idaho?
I was born actually in California, but I grew up the majority of my life in Idaho.
Shoot. Well, I guess I was going to say, I've never met anybody from Idaho, but you're technically from California, but you grew up in Idaho. So
since I was young.
Yeah, partial credit. So Ches, have you ever hung out with somebody that grew up in Idaho?
I actually played video games with somebody who grew up in Idaho, and he actually really liked it. He had no aspirations to ever really leave. He's like, it's beautiful. We got a lot of space out here. And I was like, all right, man, that's just not what I think about Idaho. I think I've driven through Idaho once, but yeah, I don't know anything about Idaho. But yes, I do know one person from Idaho.
I picture right now Josh eating a potato, and he's surrounded by potatoes right now. Is that? Are you?
There
doing
goes
that?
Our entire Idaho demographic.
Yes, sorry to all you Idahoans out there.
The funny thing about that stereotype is it's not exactly true, but for me, it fits too scarily. I'm growing potatoes in my backyard. Ironically, my uncle is named Larry. He's a potato farmer. I'm just the stereotype Idaho, I guess. So
that's awesome. I love that you're growing potatoes in that's fantastic, man. I love it. And yeah, I would actually like to. I heard it's pretty up in Idaho. Is that true or no? Do you guys have mountains or anything?
Beautiful.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So, and so I'm not trying to offend anybody with my stereotypes, but never
we
mind.
Get a kick out of it. Yeah,
all right, good. Yeah, so you have a person. Idahoans have a sense of humor, so fantastic. Let's get back on questions because I could start grilling you about Idahoan things all day long. What do you like to eat? And you can't say potatoes, okay? Sorry, I couldn't resist myself. I couldn't resist.
Do French fries count as potatoes?
No, yes, they do. That's not valid, but well played, sir.
Ooh, I'm a fan of a good burger. That is my favorite right there.
What about dessert?
Ooh, creme brulee.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. These are. Oh, I'm just hungry already. I haven't had breakfast yet today. But what do you do for fun or hobbies, kind of outside of the market? What do you find yourself, using your free time with?
So I do so many different like extreme types of sports. So I don't know if you guys have heard of slacklining. It's like tightrope walking. I do that a lot. I'm a longboarder. Used to be a sponsored skateboarder when I was younger. BMX, road bike. I mean, I do all the outdoor activities, hiking, camping, everything.
How many bones have you broken?
Oh, 0, surprisingly.
Wow. That's actually quite amazing. I'm pretty surprised at that.
What I'm super shocked at is if I would have known that stuff going in, that tells me your personality traits are adrenaline seeking. So to hear about how you train, and as Ches has brought up a couple of times, which is totally valid, you're quite kind of, I want to be very careful of my money. Which is good, which is good. I'm not saying it in a bad way, but like I said, I would assume that you would just be like, let's let it ride. Let's go find some adrenaline, put it all on, this stock, and let's see what happens. But so that's super interesting. That I don't know how you accomplish that disconnect between your adrenaline seeking genes in your body, and yet you're super kind of conservative and quite risk management type genes. So yeah, that's wouldn't you agree, Ches? That's a pretty interesting kind of thing from a psychology standpoint.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think it's all that time you spent in Idaho, kept them very, very grounded and got all that California greed and, all of that out of the way. But yeah, it's actually very, very interesting what the contrast between his trading style and just kind of, what he does for fun. So it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with my upbringing too. I came from a family of people who are very responsible with their money, my grandpa especially. So it's been a lot of good advice passed down.
Nice. That's awesome. So yeah, cool. See, that's why I love this podcast. You get all sorts of different stories, but looking at the time, we really got 3 words, Josh, and these 3 words need to be what you would use to describe, to associate with what it takes to be a successful trader. What would those 3 words be?
Ooh. This is a tough one.
Toe.
Yeah. Oh. Learn the charts.
Booyah. Stumbled a little bit, but came out the gate strong. Yeah. Learn the chart. I don't think anybody said that one. Well said. I agree fully. Simple, yet very effective. Well, Josh, thanks so much for hanging out. For only being 23 years old, it sounds like you got a very good head on your shoulder. So I would say that you got a good, bright future in your future, as long as you just keep on paper trading seriously and doing what you need to do. Thank you very much for hanging out with Ches and I this afternoon.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to talk to you in person.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be seeing you more in the lounge and the chat rooms. And but no pressure, you go at your own pace. So thank you again to Josh. And in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, who do I really want to have back? And definitely Josh. This was a fun interview, so we'll have to have him back at another point in time. For you listeners out there, couple final things. First, if you're listening to this on the website, click that share button, leave us comments below. We will read those and we do respond to them. And, just sharing it really helps us out. If you're listening on iTunes or any of the other podcast players, then again, subscribe, leave us a rating, especially on iTunes. That really helps with our ranking. And when our ranking, gets better and higher, that's just more eyeballs that can see it. And that's just a very free way to help us out if you are enjoying, these interviews and want us to keep making them. And then finally, if you're listening and watching on YouTube, then definitely check out the remainder of the channel. There's a lot of other cool videos, live trade videos, quick tip videos. There's some just random kind of fun videos that I do. So check out the channel, and hopefully you ultimately decide to subscribe to the YouTube channel itself. So thank you again to all you as listeners. Thank you again to Josh. We will see you back for the next episode.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the Clay Trader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit claytrader.com.